27 years old and I am HIV positive. I have been living with the virus for 2 years now because I discovered that I was positive 2 years ago during a free and voluntary test launched by the Ministry of Public Health. And since then my whole life has been different. In the beginning it was very, very bad, but as for now, things are getting in order. In the beginning, my family and friends and close ones, when they got the news, everyone was like running away from me, and I felt very isolated and neglected. As a result, I lost a lot of weight. I was traumatized, and I was advised to go for counseling, and so in fact my counselor had to put me back on track, starting with my close ones and family members. He told me to bring them over, and so he had to explain to everyone the reality of HIV and AIDS, and that it's a disease like any other. It's very, very common, and so I shouldn't be treated differently. And from there, things began to lighten up as my family started opening their arms back for me. And my counselor equally also advised me to leave some things that I was doing before, like drinking, smoking, and flirting around with women. So right now I'm very, very organized. I don't date. I hardly even have sex. I don't have sex like I used to do before, and I don't drink. I don't smoke.
It was considered a taboo a decade ago, seeing people voluntarily going to know their HIV status. If one was suspected of being an HIV carrier, he was abandoned to himself. If one started losing weight, mouth started talking. That was the era that had come after Cameroonians started believing the existence of HIV and AIDS. Today, things have changed, and people of all ages queue at the hospital laboratories to know their HIV status. The old and the young now talk freely on HIV and sex as a whole. In the past, even those who had wanted to buy condoms to use as a preventive measure had to wait for everybody to leave the pharmacy before they asked for what they had come for shyly. Today, the story is different. Condoms are found everywhere, in our towns and villages, and even at our local stores. People move in and out freely with it in their hand. It's not a myth anymore to get a condom from anywhere. The newest of this creation is the female condom that has been exposed everywhere too, and women taught on how to use it.
Je suis de l'association APAS, Association des personnes affectées par le sida.
I am a member of APAS, an association of persons affected by AIDS. I'm an advisor as well as a peer educator. In the process of using a female condom, you need to first of all check the expiry date and equally ensure that your hands are properly clean. To open it, you need to tear it where there is an indication. To insert, there are 4 positions that a woman can take. It could be while standing, or while bending, or while laying on a bed, or while sitting. Then you bend the inner ring and insert by pushing it slowly inside with your finger, and you spread out the outer ring. After ejaculation, you turn the condom twice and remove it and dispose it in a dustbin.
J'ai appris ça parce qu'elle doit me protéger et éviter certaines maladies contre l'homme et la femme.
The war against the stigmatization of HIV and AIDS has come a long way. This had started when it was realized that the stigmatization killed more than the virus itself. 3 ministries in the Cameroon government, alongside some non-governmental organizations and groups with some help from abroad, championed this fight. The Ministries of Communications and Women and Social Affairs stood by the Ministry of Health, leading campaigns through communication units, and moved to all stratas of the society to educate Cameroonians about the virus. Talks and practical sessions were organized everywhere to make known the fact that HIV carriers can live a normal life and are not different from others in the society.
Un malade séropositif déjà c'est quelqu'un comme c'est une personne entière à part entière.
An HIV carrier is supposed to live in society like everybody else. There should be no stigmatization because it's not by looking at him or touching him that you will be contaminated. The only thing to do is to avoid blood contact. You can live together, play together, eat together, and even exchange dresses, but the only precaution is to avoid blood contact.
Health counselors became fashionable and psychologically prepared people living with HIV for a better life, raising their hopes to the new discoveries and mannerisms that had become fashionable for carriers too.
Et puis quand on prend des précautions et quand on est bien suivi, on peut vivre longtemps.
When you take precautions and follow the right procedure, you can live with HIV virus for a very long time. I know a lady who was HIV positive since the year 2000, and up till date, she's not even on antiretroviral drugs. She comes for checkup every 6 months, but she doesn't take any drug. This is because of the way she lives. She lives a healthy and hygienic life. She eats well, cleans herself well, and avoids reinfection. From the year 2000 till date is about 12 years, and she's not even on retrovirals, and yet she still lives a normal life. So if HIV carriers could amend their lifestyles and start living a healthy and hygienic life, they could even live longer than healthy people. Before, people used to think that when you are declared HIV positive, you will die the next day. But that is not true. We need to sensitize people that they can live with the HIV virus for long without a problem, because there are more deadly diseases that are even more difficult to manage than HIV/AIDS.
Communication teams were sent to every school in the nation, every village in the country, and sex and HIV was taught in classes and markets. Today, the counselors are still at work, managing the status of carriers.
Il devait vivre normalement, vaquer à ses occupations, parce qu'il a droit à l'emploi, vaquer à ses occupations, s'occuper de sa famille,
HIV carriers should live a normal life, like getting a job, taking care of their families, and even procreating. But the only thing they should avoid is blood contact with anybody else. You can never tell if a person is an HIV carrier unless he declares his status to you. He should be treated like any other member of the society. They are not even obliged to reveal their status to everybody, except very close ones, so that they can get moral support, because that is what they need most. Many people out there don't know much about the HIV virus. They just think that when you are infected, you will die. And so we need to start by sensitizing them about the virus, starting with the mode of transmission, because it is very important to know. As a result, they will understand that living, eating, or sleeping on the same bed with an HIV carrier doesn't mean that you will be contaminated. So in the house, what HIV carriers need most is your affection and your moral support. This will go a long way to help them psychologically, as they would understand that they are normal people, and as a result, they will live longer and healthier.
Le malade séropositif devra trouver son appui. Il faudrait que, n'est-ce pas, ceux qui l'entourent lui apportent cette affection-là, ce soutien moral dont il a besoin pour surmonter tout cela. Et avec cela, s'il a pu surmonter ça dans sa tête, il peut prendre ses antirétroviraux et il vivra longtemps. Parce que dans la tête, c'est déjà dépassé, il vivra comme tout le monde.
What had killed most of the first people that contracted the virus was the stigma and the reaction from other members of the society. If someone was suspected of having contracted the virus, even without a medical test, news flew like wildfire, and even those who went beside him were suspected to be carriers too. The victims were abandoned and made to believe they would die soon. This led some of the HIV-tested victims to commit suicide even before they had the knowledge of the virus. Today, HIV carriers get along well in the society, and some give testimonies of how good your lives is. Some people tested positive tend to make public their status, in some cases to redirect others. With the coming of the antiretroviral drugs, heavily subsidized by government, things are even better. People now know what to do and not what to do to survive and live a normal life as a carrier while taking their medication.
Il faudrait juste qu'il évite un certain nombre de choses, peut-être les rapports sexuels sans préservatif, parce que non seulement il pourra contaminer.
HIV carriers need to avoid certain things in life, like unprotected sexual intercourse, because not only could they infect others, they could equally be reinfected as well. They should also avoid drinking of alcohol and smoking, because these are factors that could promote other illnesses. In summary, they should adopt a very hygienic lifestyle and try to live healthily. If they have support from their families, they will be happy, and this will make them live for long, even longer than healthy people. Everybody has to die one day, and there are people who die sudden death. A person can leave his house healthy and a car knocks him on the road and he dies. It is the same as how an HIV carrier can also die one day. Everybody has to die someday, and we should accept that. What we should do is to learn how to love and live with our family members and friends who are HIV carriers.
Another very important achievement made to destroy the stigmatization of HIV in our society was to let people know the virus, how they themselves could prevent the spread, and most importantly, how the virus is transmitted.
Déjà, pour des personnes déjà sexuellement actives, elles devraient soit utiliser le préservatif.
People who are sexually active should always ensure that they use condoms, either the male or female condom, during sexual intercourse.
Parce qu'à un moment donné, il y a des hommes, n'est-ce pas, qui refusent le préservatif masculin. À ce moment, elles peuvent utiliser le préservatif féminin pour se protéger. Encore que c'est très pratique. Déjà, il y a
There is also fidelity between partners. When the both partners all get tested and they are negative, they can have unprotected sex and remain faithful to each other. There is also abstinence for young people. They can abstain until when they are big enough to be responsible for their actions before having sex. Through abstaining, they can avoid contracting the HIV virus. Finally, we should not use sharp objects like blades and needles already used by others. We should only use ours and use them alone. If we must use sharp objects already used by others, we should treat them and disinfect them. Also, pregnant women who are HIV positive should always take their treatment. They should always follow their treatment properly and they will give birth to healthy babies. After childbirth, they can then choose whether to give the baby treated breast milk or artificial milk.
Elle devra choisir soit l'allaitement maternel strict et protégé, soit donner à son bébé le biberon, de lait artificiel.
This, together with other things, destroyed the myth of HIV and AIDS that had once been the most scaring point of discussion in our society. The future is the same for all, including those who have contracted the virus, as they can also make their own families and bear HIV-free children.
Qu'on leur donne la chance.
We should learn to give hope and opportunities to HIV carriers. They should live positively in the society and even procreate. There are ways in which a woman who is HIV positive can give birth to a healthy baby. And if she follows the right procedure, we can also protect her partner from being contaminated, that is, if he is healthy.
Desensitization. For close to 2 decades, that finally led to what our society enjoys today, as knowledge about HIV and AIDS was not only done or fought by the ministries of government. Journalists have been instrumental to the fight against stigmatization. They attended many seminars and were trained to train through their different media, the print, audiovisual, and internet, by informing the society on the new ideas and discoveries about HIV and AIDS. The Ministry of Social and Women Affairs also did much to break through stigmatization, especially amongst women and children who are the most vulnerable of the virus. Cameroon has had a lot of support from abroad in the fight against the stigmatization of HIV and AIDS. The World Health Organization and Médecins Sans Frontières have been the leaders in this march through international non-governmental organizations within time to pump a lot of money and technical support for this fight. At the level of Cameroon, much support has come from CERAC, an organization led by the First Lady of the country. Apart from this, there are many other groups and individuals who sought and fought for the stigmatization of HIV in Cameroon to disappear. Some churches and religious bodies also took part in this fight, not only through sensitization, but also providing technical and financial support through their hospitals in research and free screening. The fight was for all, and all fought actively, especially when the society discovered that HIV was not that virus that discriminated amongst members of the society. It knocks down medical and traditional doctors, the rich and the poor, those living in urban and rural areas. The fight is not over yet, as daily some stigma crises are still recorded here and there against those with the virus. But the good news is that every year the statistics of those contracting the virus reduces. The major reason for this reduction is, of course, the crushing of the stigma, as many now freely talk about it, and the knowledge about its spreads too. Gone are those days from the genesis of the fight of this virus, that epoch that people didn't believe that HIV and AIDS existed. They attributed all related strange symptoms of HIV and AIDS to poison and witchcraft. Today, people have embraced the fact that HIV and AIDS is real, but have also accepted that it can be prevented, and those already living with it can live like others in the society and have the same rights like other citizens. You can live your destined life as an HIV carrier if you follow the rule.
My life seems to move okay. My life seems to be okay right now. I still have a lot of hopes and expectations that one day a cure for HIV/AIDS will be discovered and our problems will be solved. And I'm currently on antiretroviral drugs, and that's what has been keeping me healthy. So I'd like to let everyone out there know that HIV/AIDS, it's a reality. I'm a victim. It's something that you can determine. I never knew that I was going to be in this situation right now. Before, I just thought it was a myth, that it didn't really exist. But the first year when I found out that I was positive, I had to drop school for that year because I couldn't take it. But when I started going for counseling and things began to smoothen up, I immediately resumed school the following year. I am presently a second year student in the university, and I'm reading law. And I still have hopes and aspirations. I lead a normal life. And the antiretroviral drugs, they keep me going. I can say I'm very healthy right now. And so I still have a lot of dreams like everyone out there, that one day I will get my degree, get settled, get a good job, and even a family of my own. And hoping that the drug, a medicine for HIV/AIDS will be created or will be discovered. So I just want to tell everyone out there, anyone out there living with HIV/AIDS, to face the reality of the illness, and they shouldn't give up, and they should always have hope, because hope is what is keeping me going right now.